All right, guys, we're working more with division. And I just think you're almost done with third grade math. Aren't you proud of yourself for all that you've done this year? Okay, so we are working like we did yesterday. We're looking to divide our tens and divide our ones, and sometimes we'll have a remainder, right? So today we're thinking, okay, well, what does that remainder mean? Like, what are we going to do with that remainder? Because that's what real life math is. Remember how we were talking, I think I put this on the video, when you were going to split up the M&Ms and you were thinking about what to do with the remainders. What do you do with the extras? Sometimes you just throw it away. Sometimes you give it to somebody else. Sometimes one person gets an extra. So that's what real life math is. You're making that division and then making a decision about what happens with the remainder. So that's what we're working on today. And we are skipping page 313 and 14. You can do it if you want to, but I am not assigning it. Okay, so let's, I lost my paper clip. Let's look on page 315, Interpret the Remainder. Okay, so we're just doing what we did with yesterday's work. Okay, we're dividing our tens, finding our answer, multiplying and subtracting, and then getting our ones, and then trying to see how many could we divide, or if we had two groups, how could we divide 3 into 2? And we found that we could only put 1 in each group, and then we subtracted, and that was our remainder, right? Okay, so this was our sample here. We have to read the question to see what we're going to do with this remainder, okay? So he had 23 baseball cards, and he was putting 2 on a page in an album, like a book that he was doing that, okay? And so if he had 23 and he was putting 2 per page, okay, so sets of 2, how many pages could he fill? Well, he would fill 11, and then he would have a remainder of 1. So what could he do with that remaining card? Well, he could just start a new page, and that new page would just have 1, right? So we're just thinking about, well, what would we do with that? Okay, so let's try some together. So Lily baked 87 cookies, and she divided the cookies equally among 4 plates. So just to picture that, okay, she's taking the cookies off the tray and putting them on 4 different plates. Maybe she's giving those to 4 different people. Okay, so first step is we have to divide 87 into groups of 4. And we think, okay, I've got 8 tens and I want to put them in 4 groups. So how many go in each group? 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 2 tens times 4, because that's our next step, we multiply that. All right, so 2 cookies on 4 plates equals, I'm sorry, that would be 20 because it's 2 tens. 2 tens times 4 equals 8, and 8 tens is the same as 80, right? So then we write that, then we subtract. We've got 7 cookies. All right, so think, if I've got 7 cookies and I'm trying to put them on 4 plates, let's see, how many could we split up into groups of 4? Okay, so we have 7. If I put 2 on each plate, no, that would be 2 times 4, and that's 8. I don't have 8 cookies, I only have 7. So let's try 1 cookie on each plate. Okay, so we put 1 cookie on 4 plates, and 1 times 4 is 4. And then I subtract, and that is those are my leftover cookies. Okay, so the question on our page is, how many cookies did Lily put on each plate? Well, she put 21 cookies on each plate, right? And then what was our remainder? Remainder 3. So she put 21 cookies on the plate to make them even groups, okay? And what could she do with the remaining cookies? So what could she do with these 3 cookies? Well, she could eat them herself, couldn't she? She could give them to Mrs. LaFave, right? So we've got to think, what could she do with these 3 extras? So if she's taking her 87 cookies and putting them equally on 4 plates, she can only put 21 on each plate. And that way, each of the 4 plates have the exact same amount. But because she had 87 cookies, there's going to be 3 left over. After she puts 21 cookies on each of the plates, she has 3 left over. So then we have to think. You just use your imagination. What could she do? Maybe she's sick of cookies and she wants to throw them away. So think about that. What could Lily do with the remaining cookies? And you're going to write your answer right there. But we need to know that there were 21 on each plate. That's our answer for the first part. How many cookies were on each plate? And then you talk about what she's going to do with these leftovers, the remainder. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. Grandpa picked 68 peaches, and he divided the peaches into how many groups? Ooh, 3. He has 3 grandchildren, so 1 group of peaches for each grandchild, all right? So let's see how many peaches the grandchildren got. So divide your tens. 6 divided by 3 equals how many tens? 2 tens. So we put that up there. Next step is to multiply 2 peaches, or 20, this would be 2 tens. So it's 2 tens times 3 is 6 tens. And we write 6 tens as 60. And then we subtract. And we've got 8 ones. And we want to put those into 3 equal groups. Okay, so let's see now. If I put 4, could I do 4 for each of the 3 grandkids? That would be 4 times 3, that's 12, that's too much. Okay, what about 2? Could I give 2 to each of the grandchildren? So that would be 3 times 2 is 6. Yeah, that would work, right? Okay, so I can take my 8 and divide it into groups of 3, okay? And I could fit 2 in each group. And then I write 2 times 3 equals 6. And then how many are left over? There would be 2, right? So we would have, each child would get 22 peaches. And then there would be 2 left over. Okay, so on your page, it says, right here, it says how many peaches did each child get? Well, we know they each got 22, right? And then there was a remainder of 2 extra peaches. So what could we do with those 2 extra peaches? So each kid, because each of the grandchildren wanted in exactly the same amount, so they get 22. But now Grandpa's got these 2 leftovers. So what is he going to do? Maybe he could give them to Grandma. Maybe he could eat them himself. Maybe he could feed the birds with it, right? So we've got to think, what do these 2 extras mean? Because when he took this amount and he divided it among his 3 grandchildren, each of them got 22. There were 2 left over, and he's got to figure out what to do with those 2 extras. Okay, so I want you, there's just 3 of those problems on the back. And think about the remainder. So you're just going to do the back and your fractions. You're going to decide which one is greater than or less than, okay? Pretty quick and easy today. All right, that's it, guys. That's it for math.